For our next example, we've got probably a question that nightmares are made of, where there's just so much going on here, but really it's just 3 of the questions that we've been doing before, plus a little bit of revision. There's a difference of 2 squares here. So we'll just break it down into individual numbers. We're going to keep that as an equation. This is its own equation. That's its own equation, and this is its own equation. So we'll start off with number 1. We've got 4x squared minus 9. As we can see here, 4 can be made up of, is equal to 2 squared. We've got x squared minus 3 squared. So this is a difference of 2 squares. So we can rewrite it as 2x with a 3, and then 2x with a 3. One's going to be positive, one's going to be a negative. For 2, we have 10x squared plus 13x minus 3. We're going to do a product sum for this one, as it's a trinomial. And the product is going to be negative 3. We have to make sure we multiply it by 10. So that, of course, is going to be negative 30. And then the sum is going to be positive 13. So we need to find 2 numbers that multiply to give negative 30, but add to give 13. In this case, it's 15 and negative 2, because 15 times negative 2 is negative 30, and 15 plus negative 2 is 13. So once again, we're going to split positive 13x up into these two. 10x squared plus 15x minus 2x minus 3. So we'll find a common factor for 10x squared and 15x. So that's going to be 5x. Left over here, we're going to have 2x plus 3. Now here, the only thing we have in common is that they're both negative. So we're going to take a negative 1 out. We're left with just 2x plus 3. So you can see that these two are the same, so we can bring it out the front. 2x plus 3. And then what's left over in brackets, 5x minus 1. Halfway there. So next up we've got 3. This is 25x squared minus 10x plus 1. So for the product, we've got 1 times 25, which is 25, and then the sum is going to equal negative 10. So what 2 numbers multiply to give 25, but add to give negative 10? And I think we're all happy in saying that's negative 5 and negative 5. Not too difficult there. Remember, if this is going to be negative and that's positive, most of the time you're going to have 2 negative numbers here. Next up, we need to split this negative 10x up into these two. So we're going to have 25x squared minus 5x, and that same 1, we'll keep it down here. Next up, we're going to find common factors of 25x squared and negative 5x. So I can see that it's going to be 5x, with a 5x left over, minus 1. Now here, there's nothing in common, but I want to get rid of that negative, so we're going to take a negative 1 out the front, and it's going to be a positive 5x with a negative 1. That's how we can get these the same. If you didn't take out a negative as a factor, this would be positive, this would be negative, and you'd have to do an extra step. So watch out for that one. These are the same, so we can bring it out the front. So we have 5x minus 1, and then left over we have 5x minus 1. Now we can say, just to make it nice and neat, that it's 5x minus 1 all squared. Okay, now we have the fourth and final situation before we can actually start working with this. We have 4. That's going to be 10x squared minus 17x plus 3. Once again, product sum, we have 3 times 10, so it's going to have to be 30, and then it's going to add up to get negative 17. Now we can see this is a negative and that's a positive, so it probably will have a situation where there's two negatives, and for this instance we have negative 15 and negative 2. Negative 15 times negative 2 is 30, and negative 15 plus negative 2 is negative 17. So as that's the case, we will split negative 17x up into negative 15x and negative 2x. 10x squared stays the same, negative 15x, negative 2x, and that positive 3 stays the same. We'll split these two up, so that's going to be 5x in common. Left over we have 2x minus 3. And here we have nothing in common. There's a negative there. That's a positive 3. We want to make sure it's going to be a negative 3, so this will work. So we're going to take out a negative 1, be left with 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3, we have also another 2x minus 3 in common, so we'll take that out. And left over we have 5x minus 1. So now we have our 4 options. We're going to put it all back into this situation, but they're going to be factorized, and hopefully we can cancel some things. So on the top, for 1, we're going to have 2x plus 3, 2x minus 3, and that's going to be on top of 2, which is 2x plus 3, 5x minus 1, and that's multiplied by, on the top we have 3. We've got 5x minus 1 all squared. Because I think there's going to be lots of cancelling out, I'm just going to put them out expanded just for the moment. We're going to have 5x minus 1, 5x minus 1, and then finally on the bottom we have our 4th option, which is 2x minus 3, 5x minus 1. So now we've done all this, it's time to cancel some of this stuff out. So first of all, we've got 2x plus 3 and there's a 2x plus 3, so they're going to cancel. They're left with 1 for each. Now here we've got 2x minus 3. Look around to see if there's a 2x minus 3 anywhere else. There's one here, so they're going to cancel. So up here we've just left with 1 times 1, which is going to be just 1. What else do we have? We've got 5x minus 1 here. There's a 5x minus 1 here. Cancel those out. So there's another option where it's 1 times 1, 1 times 1. And here we've got 5x minus 1 and 5x minus 1. So we can cancel those as well. So after all this horrible working out just to prove that we can do it, we're left with 1 times 1 over 1 times 1 multiplied by 1 times 1 over 1 times 1. So we can see that 1 times 1, that's going to be 1 over 1, and that's 1 times 1 over 1 times 1, which is 1. On the top, we'll simplify that. 1 times 1, that's 1. On the bottom, we've got 1 times 1, which is 1. So altogether, we have 1, and that's our final answer.